Welcome, I'm Jellybeans, and the Steam Deck just turned 1 year old, and to celebrate, Valve has not only given a 10% discount on all Steam Decks during the spring sale of March, they went one step further. They also released a list of the top 100 games that are played on the Steam Deck based on concurrent players. This video is going to deep dive into many of those titles, if they're worth playing, my opinions on them. If you're looking for Hogwarts Legacy or Red Dead Redemption 2, that will not be in this video because I've already covered that. Link will be in the description below. We're going to try and do our best and consider the price discounts through the spring sale with all of the games considered, so please strap in and enjoy. These are my game recommendations for the Steam Deck for the spring sale of March 2023. First up, we have Vampire Survivors, a roguelite where you must survive the night from an army of vampires and their creatures, all by simply walking around as the game kills the enemies for you. Now this might sound counterintuitive to fun, it is very engaging and will keep you glued to your Steam Deck for hours. How it works is as you kill enemies, you'll unlock different powers and abilities that you can spec into. Of course, they're offered to you randomly. You don't always know what you're going to get. Perfect for pick up and play in 30-minute bite-sized chunks. There's also a progression system through coins that allow you to persist unlocks through each game that you play, meaning that there's always more to do in this one. The developers keep making updates, there's more levels, more content, more unlockables, more items, the list goes on, the game keeps getting better and better. It's an easy recommendation as I mentioned before. Our next recommendation comes from No Man's Sky. Now this game on launch from Hello Games was quite a disappointment. It really didn't live up to the expectations and hype, and it probably never could have. Well, it's a different story today. The game has just been receiving update after update after update, and all of the updates have been, of course, free. The game now is packed full of content. It now fully features co-op and multiplayer experiences through missions. There's base building, there's pirates, exploration, mechs, vehicles, more ships to collect, and plenty more. Playing the game, I did experience some stuttering due to shaders being loaded in when first playing the game, but after that the experience really ironed out and I had no issues playing the deck. It includes single player as well, so you're not locked into being always online either. It really makes the deck a great device to consider playing No Man's Sky on. The Persona series of games 3 through to 5 are also on the list and all have deep discounts, with Persona 5 Royal having 35% off being more than the other two. The Persona series is really at home on the deck. If you haven't played 4 or 5, they are outstanding JRPGs that involve social but also dungeon crawling mechanics where you must mix both your relationships and your everyday school life to uncover the mystery of people's hearts in Persona 5 or a murder mystery in Persona 4. Now the port for Persona 3 unfortunately is not the best. It's an enhanced edition of the PSP portable version, which was not as good as the original PlayStation 2 version. Now, as confusing as all that sounds, and it basically means that the movement and exploration has been cut from the game for a more visual novel style, and the cutscenes also do not make an appearance. Because of these compromises, I would not recommend the third game from my perspective, but 4 and 5 are definitely worth the time. If you have over 100 hours to invest, you're going to be getting bang for buck with the 35% discount on Royal, but just bear in mind that these also appear on the Xbox Game Pass as well. In terms of Steam Deck performance, they're going to run really well. Obviously, Persona 5 came out for the PS4, but also PS3, so the ports are pretty good for PC. Don't expect anything groundbreaking. You'll be running this at 40 frames per second for that smoother frame experience, but also conserving that battery life that we so much care about on the deck. Slay the Spire is the deck builder that pretty much inspired the genre of roguelike deck builders that we see today. You essentially craft your deck as you go through a series of roguelike choices and fights that you'll have to choose from random choices to build out your deck. This one's an extremely addictive game, and with a 66% off discount, making this only $12 Australian, you're going to get lots of content here. Because it's a roguelike, it encourages replayability. The journeys that you'll be going on and building your decks will be different every time, and again plays into the pick-up play nature of the deck because the matches are so short and quick. The campaigns can be relatively short depending on how experienced you are and how your deck is built. Now, I personally prefer some of the later games that are inspired by this one, such as Monster Train, but if you're into roguelike deck builders, this is the one that started them all. Terraria is the gift that keeps on giving. With its 2D pixel art, the Steam Deck is going to have no trouble running this game 4 hours. Originally releasing in 2011, the developers have not stopped adding content. And the amount of times that I've heard them say that they won't be continuing development on Terraria, only to then release a console port, or another boss, or more mobs, or whatever the developers desire, this game keeps my friends coming back and back and back over and over again to replay the many different bosses and content. What you'll be doing is fighting, exploring, as you always do in these crafting types of games, but in a 2D plane. You can play it fully co-op with all your friends, but also single player, and you'll be essentially going through the motions of mining, digging, exploring, and crafting the necessary materials to take on different bosses in the game. The more and more equipment that you get, the more you'll be ready for the next bosses and the next stages, and you continue through that loop throughout the game. With its new console controls, it plays really well on the deck, and like I said before, performance is a non-issue with this one. Next up, we have Monster Hunter Rise from Capcom. Yes, this is the Monster Hunter that was developed for the Switch. You can also pick up World, which does include a discount, but Rise is on sale right now at 50% off, and for this price, it's a 100% worth playing. You can do it as both single player and co-op, though noting the single player missions are required to advance the story, and you also gear up to a certain extent to be able to play with your friends. Now, in typical Capcom style, the co-op and multiplayer don't always work as expected, and sometimes I did find issues joining matches, but that did not stop the experience from being really great. If you're into Monster Hunter, you've probably already picked this one up, but if you want to go and slay monsters with friends and go through the gear grind loop, you can't go wrong with either of the Monster Hunter games. And of course, Steam Deck performance for this one is really good. Very positive reviews on Steam as well. Check it out. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is on sale at $5, which is a 90% discount over here in Australia. This is what you would get if you combined the Dark Souls with a Star Wars aesthetic, developed by Respawn Entertainment, the developers who brought us Titanfall and also Apex. It borrows heavily from Metroidvania and Dark Souls, where you'll be camping at bonfires to recover health but also respawn enemies, going through the progression to get better equipment and levels, which will then allow you to unlock force powers and different abilities for Cal, the main protagonist. The story is really quite interesting as well. You'll be seeing some recurring characters from the Star Wars universe. It's set between episodes 3 and 4, and you play as a Jedi that is trying to survive the Empire uprising. If you're into Star Wars and want a Dark Souls-like experience with puzzle solving and dungeon crawling, this is the one for you. As just mentioned, Respawn Entertainment also developed Titanfall 2, which if you don't know has a really awesome single player campaign. That's perfect for the deck. At an 85% discount, this one comes in at $6 Australian, and for the campaign alone, it's worth playing this game. The multiplayer experience these days doesn't have as many players as it did see in its popularity, and you'll be having to use the EA launcher unfortunately, which is included with the EA Play. Hopefully one day Respawn will develop Titanfall 3 if they're not stuck in live service development forever on Apex Legends. Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is a top-down RPG game where you'll be playing the role of a detective in a quite dark and overwhelming world. As a detective, you'll be uncovering mysteries and solving cases with your companion as you try and crack the recent murder cases. This one is extremely story-rich and choice-driven. If you're looking for an RPG tabletop experience that brings you back to the old days, this is the one for you. You'll be dice rolling to progress narrative, but also through the skills that you have will determine the percentage of those rolls. If you can make it to the end, you're going to be having a really great time, and for a discount of 75% off. If you're into these types of experiences, Disco Elysium is a great one to pick up if you haven't already. Following up top-down RPGs, we have Divinity Original Sin 2, the Definitive Edition, by Larian Studios. A deep discount at 60% off. Divinity, if you have not played it, draws back to the D&D style of RPGs that you can also play with up to 4 friends for each of the characters. The story is really deep and rich with this one, and the different classes and character abilities that you'll be unlocking really allow you to build your character however you want. It has a really awesome co-op split screen mode as well, so you can play with a friend on couch co-op that works perfectly fine for the Steam Deck, but you can also then play online with up to 4 friends as well. Steal, Murder, Play However You Want. Steal and Murder, Play However You Want Divinity offers a playstyle for pretty much anyone who likes top-down RPGs. Seriously, why are you watching this video? Go play Divinity. It's worth your time. Yakuza 0 is one of my favorite Japanese style beat 'em up brawler type RPG games. There's really nothing else like the Yakuza series. Set in Japan, you'll play as Kiryu, and 0 is the perfect place to get into the story because it is a prequel to all of the other games. If you enjoy this one, you then have more than 6 games to go on throughout the series, with spin-offs like Ishin the Dragon, which just came out. You'll be going through Tokyo and Osaka as a member of the Mafia, but you'll often find yourself just getting lost in the streets of Tokyo. These games pack heaps of mini games to play, from karaoke to baseball batting cages. You never know what you're going to expect with these ones, and you get to play as 2 of the main characters in this series. And there's nothing quite else like the comedy and story of the Yakuza games. Sometimes the side quests will make you cry, sometimes they'll make you laugh, but you never know what to expect with these ones. If you're going to play the game, I would also definitely recommend you do most of the side content, as they are the hidden gems of the game, and really some of the most enjoyable things that you'll do are through the side quests. Steam Deck performance is great on this one. You can get 40 frames per second with smooth gameplay. Lastly, we have Portal 2, the puzzle solver from Valve. Of course, this is going to run great on the deck. It's made by Valve. Valve makes the deck. You basically will be solving puzzles by creating portals that you can traverse through. There's a single player but also multiplayer experience with this one. You can play the co-op with up to 1 friend for quite a few hours, and then once you're done with that, you can indulge in the single player, which has a great story, great voice acting and characters, and it's really just a must-play experience. If you haven't played Portal before, you've got to pick this one up. Even if you're not the biggest fan of puzzles, just for the story alone, it's worth playing. Well, thank you for making it this far. I will include a link in the description so you can see a list of all of the 100 games that Valve have recommended here. If you liked today's video, please make sure to leave a comment and like the video. This helps greatly, and if you want to see more like this, just let me know. I hope you have an awesome day. This has been Jelly Beans.